My first passion is always going to be dance. I feel like that feeds my heart and my soul of myself. When we first started, nothing was really sugar-coated. When we were low, we were low. When I was low, but it built us. Every failure, we don't look at it as a failure. We just look at it as a lesson learned.
That's right. How did you get to the point where you said, this is bigger than just one location?
That's when, businesswoman Crystal, I'm probably like 26, 27 now. What really halted us was 2020.
Let's talk about what you specialize in for financial product. It's insurance products. Define them for us.
In life, there's a blueprint for everything. There's no need to start over. Hear from industry leaders, those at the top of their fitness journey, and real estate gurus. They tell you exactly how they did it. All you have to do is listen, learn, and execute. This is The Blueprint with Brad Rice.
All right, here we go. Another edition of The Blueprint. And today I am bringing you somebody that brings a totally different approach to things. This is somebody who's both creative and business-minded, which is really, really cool. You don't find that often. And so we have with us today Crystal Castillo-Guster.
Yes.
Very good. So she is the founder of the kids hip hop dance program called Zulu Dance Foundation. Very interesting. You started with 10 students and you have grown that. That was just in California, North Hollywood. You've grown that to over 50 schools in 3 states with more than 20,000 students.
Yes.
That's
yes.
incredible. So we definitely want to dive into that. It's now in California, Hawaii, and Texas?
Yes.
That's great. All right. And then she's also earned her financial life insurance license in an effort to teach financial literacy to people, which is a passion of yours. And so this kind of her knowledge with this has led her to also use social media as an outreach to be able to service now more than 500 clients in your financial business.
Yes.
Which is also incredible growth. So let's start with kind of just your history, like where you started, how you got into dance, and I know you got into the entertainment side of it, maybe some of the work you've done too.
Yeah. So my first passion is always going to be dance. I feel like that feeds my heart and my soul of myself. I am Hawaiian, so my first dance is hula. So at 3-4 years old, my mom already instilled those roots in me. Then I, kind of saw MTV around 6-7 years old and seen Janet Jackson, and I was like, what's that kind of dance? And I grew up in a small town, so we didn't really have dance studios or like access like kids do now, right? You can just go to TikTok and learn a whole dance routine. I didn't have that, so I would just record the music videos and learn the Janet Jackson dancing, and then turned into Britney Spears dancing. Like I pretty much taught myself till around 16, 17. My parents kind of started dedicating. They wanted to kind of pour into my passion of dance and the art, so they started bringing me down to LA because I grew up in the Central Coast area.
Oh, wait, so you're Hawaiian, but you didn't grow up in Hawaii?
No, so my mom's Hawaiian, my dad's Latino, so he's Mexican. They met in NorCal area, Chico, where I was born.
Yep.
So they met there. So I have obviously we go back and forth when I was a little girl all the time. So I'm really connected to that side
Like
of the
what
family.
island?
Big Island.
Okay.
Kona. Kailua, Kona.
Right on. Which side note, I've gone to Hawaii a couple times a year for 26 years and really had never been to the Big Island until a couple of years ago. I think it's 3-4 years ago now. What a different place. Like, it felt like we were on the moon.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
because
just all the lava and everything like that. But our absolute best ever excursion was there. Guess what it was?
Was it the volcano?
No. It's in the water.
Was it the... Where are those? Was it the nighttime one?
Yes.
What is it? Our friend runs one of those boats at the night. What are those called? Not the eels. Oh my goodness, that's the Hawaiian girl.
The big manta rays.
Those, the manta rays.
That have you done it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't done it.
Okay, so this is like, it's one of those things like in your backyard, you don't visit the things that are right there. That was an incredible experience. I mean, these are giant rays. They've got, 10-foot, 15-foot wingspans. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
And you go out there at night, you lay on these rafts, with the light facing down. First of all, you got to have the right person that's bringing them to you. So you got to have the right diver that goes down there. We had a free diver that could hold his breath for like 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. But then they bring him over, and they literally do circles underneath your face. They get within like an inch of it, and you see their entire inner skeleton. It is incredible. And we've done a lot of things. That was an incredible experience. You got to do it. So I'm sorry to go down that rabbit hole.
No, it's okay.
But that'll be some good video that Chris can find and bring up for us. So, all right.
I'm glad that you visited.
So NorCal is really where you grew up. So you started to get into the entertainment world. Obviously, that's Southern California, Hollywood area. So tell me about that.
So from there, that's when I kind of really was exposed to the hip hop culture. Because it was a small town. So, the teachers there, it's very minimal of what you can learn in regards to the knowledge in dance. Once I started coming here,
Which was when? Give us an idea of what year
I was
that
was.
was.
16.
So what year
16.
is it?
Oh, sheesh.
Now we're going to be able to do the calculations.
I know. Now you're going to know how old I am. I graduated 2006, so probably 2003, 2004 is when my parents dedicated. They kind of saw wow, our daughter really likes the arts. She loves it.
And so that, just for perspective, in LA, that was still before the big blow up of dance had happened, maybe 7-8 years after that. So,
yeah, it was still just, you would just mainly go to the dance studios. You knew who you knew, and that's how really bookings happened.
Yep.
But I started training. When I officially moved here at 18 years old, when I was officially an adult. Then I had my own spot. I got hired at the school still here, East Valley High School in NorCal. And I was in charge of the dance program for those kids. But there was another dance program he's still my hip-hop mentor. His name's Dr. T. He had this whole hip-hop branch called Macadocious. And I would kind of sneak in there because I really wasn't exposed to hip-hop culture in a small town.
Right.
So I would sneak in to hear his music, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know it at the time, but I'm he was playing KRS-One, all of these Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and I'm like, who the heck is that? And I hear him then giving them hip hop history lessons, and he's requiring all of these kids, you are not going to perform until you write this thesis paper. And I'm like, these kids are middle school? But then when they would perform, they'd come out in Adidas tracksuits, ready
really
to battle.
And
this was middle school. They were probably 12, 13, breaking amazing, mixes. And then that exposed me to the history of hip hop.
Yeah.
Where then I was I want to learn this. So I started getting books. And then I studied at the Scratch Academy. I don't know if it's still here, but it was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Run DMC, they kind of created that. I wanted to just learn. I was so a sponge at that time. Let me learn this element. They said DJ's an element. So I learned to DJ. I learned more history. And then Dr. T, I got to, approach him because he's this big dude. So I was I'm so tiny that I'm
not to
I'm
be
just
confused with Mr. T, who is also a big dude.
Right. No, and I call him Dr. T because he has his master's degree in hip hop culture. He's super hip hop.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's how I was exposed to that, and then I dived deep, and that's when we kind of created Zulu Dance Foundation, based off of Bambaataa Zulu Nation, spreading hip hop positivity, peace, love, unity, and having fun.
Okay, wow. So where you kind of spent your time studying, this all kind of emerged from that and from working with Dr. T.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Was he part of this when you established it, or was it just
Oh, yeah. I definitely, involved him in regards to, asking questions. I wanted his input. I still do. I just texted him, yesterday. And he's just, the knowledge he possesses in regards to not many know the Hip Hop History Foundation, so that's something that we really instill in our students when they're in our program.
Yeah.
I mean, we have kindergarten. They're tiny, but we make it in a fun way for them to understand what the history is. But yeah, he was involved in the beginning and still is. He's part of both of our lives. He was there when we were just dating, me and my husband. And then...
So let's talk for a minute because, little known fact, I went to high school in the 80s, in the early 80s or mid 80s, and breakdancing was a big thing then. Okay.
Yeah.
And there were all movies would have little snippets of breakdancing in it. For example, was it Break-In? There was a movie called Break-In. There was what was the Electric Boogaloo one? Maybe that was Break-In 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
That's what that was. Or then you had like Flashdance, and there were little segments in Flashdance that had that, and then MTV and all the
That
music
era.
videos that would bring hip hop into it, right? And Rapper's Delight was a big song back then, and so forth. And so there was a real kind of convergence of rap and hip hop dance that really took place in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was born before that, but in the 80s it was a big deal. And then it was kind of brought back. And so what experience do you have, because you did DJing and all that, in kind of that intersection between hip hop and rap? Is that...
So when we're looking at hip hop, the culture in general, where we got the elements of hip hop, you got rap is one, the MC. You got the DJ's the center of it. That's one thing I always make sure everyone understands. If there's no DJ, hip hop culture would have never emerged. DJ was the center of all those block parties. They came for the DJ. From the DJ came the MC, the rapper.
Yeah.
Then the breakers came, breaking the B-boys, the B-girls. And then you have graffiti. And then again, there's debate on. I include the beatbox because that is something, the hip hop culture. It was made by kids. I always remind my students that it was kids who didn't have a lot of money. They were in the streets. So things that was developed around hip hop culture. How much money does it take to beatbox? Nothing. It's your voice. How much money does it take to MC and rap? Nothing. It's your voice. Breaking. What do you need? The kids use the cardboard in the dumpsters, right? They pulled them out.
All right.
The only one that's really you're gonna have to have some funds is for the DJ equipment. They maneuvered around that in the Bronx and New York, but I would say you got hip hop is all of that, right? Hip hop is rap. Hip hop is the DJ. Hip hop is b-boy, b-girls. Hip hop is knowledge. Hip hop is graffiti. Hip hop is beatbox.
So it's kind of the umbrella that encompasses all that. All right, cool. So I want to kind of take this through to the business side of things, because obviously you acquired all your knowledge and that sort of thing through your education, but then you turn that into a big business.
Yeah.
And since this is called The Blueprint, I really want you to share with people that transition, because there's probably somebody out there today who's in a very similar position as you, and whether it's in hip hop or some other thing that they were studying, they have a passion for, and now they want to make a business out of it. So what made you decide to do that, and what were the steps you went through?
I'd say if you're considering joining the AmeriFund team, it's a really good idea.
We as processors at AmeriFund Home Loans support the loan officers in every aspect of the loan once it comes into processing, because we want them out there marketing themselves and originating more loans and supporting more borrowers.
Competitive commission plans are a given, and powerful technology is expected, but what truly sets us apart is our culture. We've built a solid support system for our loan officers.
If you're interested in joining the AmeriFund team, go to amerifund.com/careers.
So number one, this is my dance is my passion. I cannot live without it. When we first started, we focused on we needed to create a following, right? You have to start there to build up. So the focus in our industry was the dance studio. So that's why we mainly just focused on a group of kids who I was part of other dance programs helping build it at the time from age 18 to age 20. And you kind of already can spotlight the kids who want more extensive training. You can just eye them out. And then I would talk to the parents and be like, hey, I'm going to be creating our own team, our own studio team. Are you interested in this? And start slowly gathering. So again, in any business, that's a number one tip I would say. You're going to have to go somewhere to learn the business aspect or to learn what it is you want to do. I ended up creating a program because I trained in other after-school programs that were headed by some other person.
Yep.
But I learned, started gathering, making my relationships with these families, and then that's how I slowly built it. That was probably for 2 to 3 years. We strictly focused studio, competition, showcases, performances. That's what we instilled in the kids. We started.
Now, were you making money doing that, or was it a business of passion, not profit?
When we started off, my heart has always been. Again, I feel like because it's from my ancestors' side with the Aloha spirit, you take the responsibility to continue to give in this world. But at the time, I felt like, because I was 18 to 21. I'm like, wow, we're making our own like $200, $300 a month. That was amazing because we weren't charging that much. I believe it was like $20, $25 a month for, each student. But we had like 10 to 15 kids consistently coming, building with us.
Were you sharing a studio somewhere? Like just
Yeah.
taking time, renting the studio?
Yeah, so we were doing, so that was an expense too. But again, yeah, your younger years, you're driving off of passion in the beginning. Like you're just going and going. But I feel like I enjoy that because it taught me like, nothing was really sugar coated. When we were low, we were low. When I was low, but it built us, and I learned through it. Right? Not entrepreneurs who are successful say like every failure we don't look at as a failure, we just look at it as a lesson learned.
That's right.
So as a youngin, didn't know that. I'm just like, you're just going, right? You're like Energizer Bunny when you're young, just like, okay, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going, and then from there, I would say that's phase one. Phase one of just the bare minimum of that foundation.
Yeah.
And then we just started getting such big, the parents were just referring us. So many kids kept coming. Like our studio was probably only like, the first studio was like this big, maybe a little smaller. Like we were getting so many people that like the dancers we had to open the door and the dancers had to be like on the sidewalk learning our choreo because we couldn't fit. And then, at the time, my now husband, we were,
Who's with us over here?
Yes, he is with us over here. He's amazing. I love you. We're like, yo, you think we could get our own dance studio? And I'm like, I think so. I think so. Like, why not? Let's try it. Let's try it. And we went, again, because our heart's where we want to serve the lower income, neighborhoods where they don't get much opportunity. Like, that's where we really want to be.
Now, was it a dense neighborhood? Like, if parents are referring people, obviously it's geographic when it comes to dance studios. So were you in an area where there just was a great density and a lot of youth?
I believe so. We were definitely in the heart of NoHo. We were on Victory and what was it? Lancashire? Oh, that was Debbie Reynolds. But we were on Victory, like more on the not bougie side.
Okay.
On that side of NoHo.
Yeah.
So I think Hazel, I forget, but I think it was just parents, I feel, can feel when the teachers really care about teaching and the dance, and we connect to kids like very fast.
Yeah.
Like we know how to, inspire and like motivate and teach. Not because everyone can teach, but I don't think everyone can teach children.
Yeah.
Whole different skill that
I've
you
got
have
a
to have.
whole story behind that. But yes, you're right. No, it is definitely somebody different. There are a lot of teachers and choreographers that really only work with adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Trisha Miranda on the pod a little while back, and she's a family friend of ours for a lot of years because of my daughter. And she only taught adults. That's all she did.
Mm-hmm.
And then she met Casey. And then she did a solo for Casey, which is the one that went viral. And then my wife had a dance studio, and she hired her to do the choreography for their teams. And so, believe it or not, she then became, through those experiences, the kid choreographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I tease her about this to today because, no, I don't want to teach kids. Like, there's a thing about being professional and teaching adults and having them do professional work. And then there's kids. But there's a whole different thing to it. Now it's like she does Radix and all these other. So now it's really about the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was there too. In the beginning, I was like, oh, I only want like sixth graders, like the upper kids. And now I'm so opposite. Like I'll take any age. Like I can teach from age 2 to age 80.
Yeah.
Hand them to me, I got you. But now right now, I really love the babies, TK to like first grade. I'm like,
Cute.
you're my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we started in NoHo. I just think because
So when you got your own place, so let's talk
Yeah.
about that for a minute because that's a big jump. So somebody starts off in the business and building it, and it's a business of passion initially. You're not making money at it. You start to build it. You're onto something. You're getting referrals, and then you took the leap and you got your own studio.
yes.
What was that like? Did you sign a long-term lease, a short-term lease? How did you build it out? What kind of money did it cost? Like, talk to us about kind of get a little bit more into the minutia of that.
Yes.
If somebody wanted to do it. Are you a tech investor looking to shape the future of real estate? HomePie is the #1 for sale by owner marketplace, and we are revolutionizing the way homes are bought and sold. I'd love to hear from you. Just email invest@homepie.com and let's chat. Now back to the show.
It was definitely a leap of faith. And again, we're young, we're fired up. When we made that transition, we looked at a lot of places. We had some funds saved up. I believe maybe we did fundraising with the families. Maybe we had 5,000 to 10,000 maybe saved up. Just being like, this will be enough. Yeah. Now what I know, I'm like, girl, but good for you.
Yeah.
So we had that, and a lot of places, because we were so young and we didn't have experience, we're not taking us serious. And we looked young. I get it. We look like a liability. I totally understand. And we were just led to this one spot in Van Nuys. Bless his heart. He passed away, but his name was Sina. And it was a 5,000 square feet, one huge room. And at that time, we pretty much were a mega crew. We would have rehearsals, 40, 50, 60 dancers. So for us, that was one thing we needed. We're we know what our rehearsal is going to look like. We don't want individual rooms. We need just one big room.
That's a big space.
Yeah. And we knew Mob was coming up, other dance crews where we were Amari was coming up on her dance crew, Joe Brown with Stroll Group, they were all also building. And I was telling, we were talking, me and my husband, he's my husband now, hey, I think this will be good for the community. I feel like people will rent this, book this space when we're not using it because of how massive it is. Because there wasn't really any studio, 5,000 square feet. They're usually blocking those
into
rooms.
Even Millennium, that was before they moved to Ventura Boulevard. I think their large room was maybe 2,000 square feet.
And that's all you're getting. But now
and it was a little odd too shaped.
Because at that time too, when we were emerging, it was World of Dance mega cruise, Hip Hop International mega cruise. That was hot at the time. Yeah. So I'm thinking, again, I didn't realize I was thinking as a businesswoman. I'm just thinking okay, how can we help our friends too? Give them a good rate, make sure the kids are taken care of with rehearsals. And, we also when we're not here, and we were open 24/7, that was one thing we said, what's one thing the studios aren't doing? They're not open 24/7. And if they are, they triple your rate. Yeah. So, a lot of dancers, we're struggling all the time. So we would be booked from people would book us 9 to midnight to 3 a.m. And that was mainly my husband's job to go, open and lock up. But when we got that, it was actually, again, I think this was all aligned. I believe in God. All of this was just go, you guys are willing to be obedient. Here you go. And it ended up being, they were just looking for someone to fill it because they were going to knock down the building anyways. So he was I can't give you guys a 5-year lease, which we weren't looking for that. We were okay, maybe 2 to 3 years, because we don't even know if we could do this. Right. So I don't want to commit and then be it's hard. Which we can do hard, but still, we were so young, not really having business experience like that. And he came in, met us. We saw the space. My parents came too, and he was you know what? I want to give you guys a chance. So our first, I think we only signed a year lease. I think it was a year, and he charged us $5,000 a month for that, which we were oh, okay, that's literally but we're not gonna show face, right? We're gonna just be we're gonna have to figure this out now, because we're we want this. But again, our first phase, we created a following. Now we had students who are already ready to enroll, right? Now slightly increase the monthly tuition, right? Then they have an understanding, why are we doing this? Well, this is our spot. We'd include all the families hey, you want to start helping us build the studio? Include the kids. So now it feels like a real community-built thing. So they're understanding, oh, yeah. We understand why Spidey and Crystal are increasing the price. This is what it's going to. And then we do movie nights for the kiddos. We really tried to do community things.
Did
but
your
it was
did your
rough.
parents have to co-sign with you on
Yeah.
that lease? Okay. Just again for
Absolutely.
practicality, just for
Yes.
people to understand. So yeah, he gave you a chance, but he wanted a little assurance that he was going to get paid. So your folks co-signed, which is great.
Yes.
And then you probably had some work you had to do, a little build out, maybe dance floor, maybe you worked on the concrete. What was that like?
So again, alignment is everything in this on how this worked. One of our dedicated student, the family has been supporting us since day one. She actually, their daughter is now one of our lead teachers. So
Nice.
kindergarten to now. It's
it.
amazing. The dad was actually a contractor. Already knew because he came in. He was like, "What do you guys need from me?" I was like, "A dance floor."
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had I would say like people would come just for our dance floor because it was the traditional wood floors, but what he put in was the springs.
Raised.
Yeah, so the bounce we
what
had
do they call that again? 'Cause-
the sprung floors.
yeah,
Is that what it is?
Yeah. There's another name too, but yes, that's it. We had to do the same thing.
Yeah, because it's good for keeps us
for
in
sure.
the game longer.
That's right. Yep.
So he did that. Luckily, with what we had saved, it paid for that. But a lot of then we had the mega crew, the adult crew. They helped him build it.
Yeah.
Right. Again, everybody's gonna be like, this is gonna be a community thing
Yeah.
where we're gonna lead. We're gonna be in the front line, but I'm telling you, we're gonna need help,
Yeah.
and we were not afraid to ask for help. I will say that. If you're
a good
starting
lesson.
something, you need to not try to take it all in the beginning, especially if you got a community that's willing to help you.
Great lesson. Yep.
And hey, who's gonna help paint this? Who wants to come put the records on the
Sure.
wall? We
Yep.
had
That's what it
assignments like
takes.
that. Again, but with the foundation of this is everyone together. This is our home. We called it the Zulu home.
Okay.
So it really was for the community. And
Now, is that location still there?
it is, but they knocked it down.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
All
got
right. So
knocked
you
down.
moved
Yeah.
that. Okay,
So-
but that was number one.
That was number one.
How did you get to the point where you said this is bigger than just one location, and how did you expand to more?
So from there, year one, he gave us that. Then year two, we were going to bounce because we were getting married. And I was like, oh, we got to put all of our money to this marriage, wedding. We can't do it. There's no way. The numbers aren't numbering. It was $5,000 a month. And we barely make that, every month, just to pay for that. And then year two, though, they still hadn't had plans to knock down the building. But we were like, hey, Cena, we're going to leave. And he was like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, thank you so much. We'll have it all cleaned out. And he calls, I think it was New Year's. And I was like, hello? And he's like, I'm going to go into his accent, bless his heart.
Go ahead.
He's like, you guys really should stay. I'm like, no, we can't. We're getting married. We can't stay. We can't afford it. I don't want to make that, deal with you when I can't fulfill it. He's like, you know what? I really like you guys. I will reduce your rent to $2,000 a month. And I'm like, looking at him, I'm like, oh God, now we gotta think about this. Because I'm like, that's pretty from $5,000 to $2,000
cheap.
a month for
Yep.
a 5,000 square feet
Yeah.
building. And I was like, okay, Cena, let me talk to Spidey. I'll call you back. He's like, okay, but I'm just telling you, I think you should do that. Because I get what he's trying to do as a business person. He was like, you're already there. We might as well get some money out of you because
Right.
the building's going to be knocked down. We just don't
It's
know
not going to
when.
bring in another tenant. Yeah.
So we talked. You think you could do it? Like, I think so. Okay, let's keep it. Because now we were used to 5,000, right?
Yeah.
Doing 5,000 every month. Now we're like, oh, shoot, the expenses.
Covered.
Yeah. And we're now in profit. So we're like, let's hustle. Let's keep the mindset of it is 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Go, go, go. And I think we were there for another 2 years. He passed things got signed off to make it an apartment complex.
Yeah.
Got knocked down. That's when businesswoman Crystal, I'm probably 26, 27 now. I'm like, okay, because at the time we were still doing after school programs. So maybe had 5 or 10 schools that me and him, my husband and I were just going to, plus our studio. And then I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, dang, our after schools, the expenses are very low. You just got to pay use of facilities, which is really nothing. And the schools are like, yeah, whatever your rate is, just charge that per parent. They'll just let them know. And
Yep.
so I'm looking, I'm like, Spidey, like the after school programs are flourishing. Their expenses are so low. And there was a bunch of districts contacting us because in word of mouth of all those schools, when we're going to those schools, they're like talking about us. But I'm like, well, no, we can't, like, our schedule's booked. Like, I can't accommodate another schools. And I'm focused on the studio program. So when that time come, we took the time to pivot. We're like, okay, let's try now. We have this opportunity to, like, really branch out with our program. So then that's when we went into full mode of just getting a bunch of schools. Because with, again, after schools, you go to their school.
Yeah.
So I don't got to pay no lease or anything. You just got to pay their hour, which some districts is $5 an hour.
Sure.
But if each kid it's when they're registering for a whole session, could be $200 for the session, $250, then that's one kid.
Yeah.
You're in pure profit there. So then that gives us extra to now, like, okay, let's hire. Now it doesn't have to be us. Let's hire and train some teachers so then we can get more schools and keep. So I would say, like, that's a phase 3. And
Yeah.
we're like phase 5 now because we're going ham with all of our locations. But that's pretty
So
much.
that's how you expanded it. It was after school program.
Yep.
My guess is some probably in a classroom where they moved chairs and tables aside, and others would be in like an NPR room
Yep.
where you had more room and maybe even a little stage in there.
Yep.
But that makes a lot of sense. From a parent perspective, they want their kids to stay busy. They're working till X period of time, so it gives them extended hours.
Yep.
And so a few $100s makes a lot of sense, and you get 30, 40 kids in that. It's a no-brainer. And so that really, but you fell into it. That's really a smart business plan. So is that how you then expanded into other states with the school, after school? So right now where you have more than 20,000 students and 50 schools, is that leveraging the after-school program? Ah.
Yeah.
So you don't even, you haven't even put yourself in a position where you've got to sign leases everywhere and you have that out there as a potential, that could blow up and then, bankrupt you.
Nope.
You're literally leveraging this great idea, which is you perform a service for parents. Let's call it babysitting. And so they pay you for that. And then you perform the service for the kids, which is really learning something cool and that they might have a passion for, which typically, 2% of those kids will probably end up in the business in some way because of this. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's been awesome.
All right. So let's migrate over to the financial side of things
The other crystal.
So here you are, you accomplished this, this is a great accomplishment, by the way. That's a lot of students. That's a lot of schools. You figured out a way to do it, to train people. Like you built a really great business. But now you're like, that's not enough. So talk about the financial side of things, getting your license and moving that direction.
Financial side of things, I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to learn. Never had the time to. Because again, when we were in that phase 2 and 3, we were moving because now we had that momentum, right? So you're like, oh, another email. Yes, we'll be there. What are the dates? Nicole, you're going there. Like you're in that momentum. What really halted us was 2020.
Yeah.
Like I know for some that was it was a horrible time for many. For me, I always tried to look for the opportunity. And my opportunity was time because everything shut down. I'm always going to Texas, going to Hawaii, going to the Cali Central Coast, then back to LA. Like we were always moving. And then when everything stopped, I was like talking to my husband. I'm like, I really want to learn like this financial stuff, but I don't like really know like what to look at. I was looking at, high yield savings accounts, trying to learn that, looking into the life insurance, like whole life, trying to learn that on my own. And then it ended up another one of my friends was actually a licensed agent. And he was like, yeah, no, I can teach you. And I'm like, wait, you can like do this for a living? Like you can do this? And he was like, yeah, you got to go take your test though. He's like, you better go study because not everybody, and it was an intense test. Yep. So I did that, but I would have never had the opportunity without COVID because we were probably, indoors from March to January, because we all taught in person. So all our schools shut down and we switched over to virtually.
You did pivot to virtual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all our classes, all our schools went virtually. So we're busy throughout the day, but now I'm like, there's no driving, so I got time.
Yeah.
I don't got to commute places. So I studied, learned that, and then learn the products. I specialize in mainly the IUL and then the FIA. I'm like that.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. Let's bookmark that for just a second, because when you pivoted to being virtual, did that create a separate business for you as well, or did that maybe even get you into the social marketing side of things, forcing you into this? Yeah.
For Zulu, virtually, personally, it was. I wanted something for the kids because they needed that connection still to me and Spidey and our teachers and the movement and the dance, because poor things were sitting all day. Yeah. But the social, as a teacher, I need to be like, you gotta, there's just the in-person with arts, we have to be with you.
Yeah.
So it was okay in the meantime. Can we still do it if we get requests from if they strictly just want Spidey or me or a special teacher? We'll do it. I don't prefer it.
Got it. Okay, so that didn't really kind of create a separate arm for your business. So let's talk about what you specialize in for financial product. It's insurance products. Define them for us.
So the ones I specialize in, the IUL Index Universal Life Insurance, is a permanent life insurance with cash value in the index growth. In general, I specialize in that, but even the concept of life insurance, I feel like it's always been given an icky name, like an icky feeling. Even when I was I thought it was amazing because I was like, life insurance can do all of this, cash value. You can use it for retirement, for savings. It's permanent. I never knew this. So I wanted to get into that because communities already served. I feel like no one took the time to teach them. Because I already had my people that I need to take care of. And I realized not a lot of agents are coming knocking on the doors of the lower middle class.
Sure.
They're going after, I get it. I totally get it. No shade, going after the higher income clients. Everyone wants that, right? Because you get the biggest
bigger
commission.
Policies, bigger commissions.
My heart's not there. Do I have those clients? Yes, absolutely. But I feel like they gravitate towards my care and my heart. But I'm always looking out for those who just didn't know. So that's when I learned that, straight to my community first. And I know it was a shift for them because they're like, Crystal, what are you talking about? Are we doing a showcase? Is this a choreography? Wait, I was like, no, this is we need to talk about something else because I want to make sure you're okay. My students are connected to you. You have life insurance, as a family.
And you'd already built trust with them. So that's where you started.
Yeah.
So again, the universal life, which is a whole life or a permanent life product, and what else do you like to specialize in?
FIA, fixed index annuity.
Okay, so explain what that is.
So those are private pension plans that you can create for yourself, whether with an old 401k. Side note, that's when I've learned a lot of people just have sitting old 401ks in the universe that they have no idea they're supposed to move those. Yeah. So that was something else, talking to, the community, make sure you go check because you guys might have it. So many clients I've helped they're like, yeah, Crystal, I have all this money. I'm like, awesome. Let's look at your options. One of them is rolling it over into a fixed index annuity to create income for life for you in the future, but also now your funds grow in the index. So it's not going to drop when, stocks go down.
Okay, so your recommendation is for people that have a 401k, maybe from a job they left, and it's still with that business being managed from them. They get a statement quarterly or whatever, and they're not paying attention to it, that they can take that money and move it into a fixed index annuity that has a floor to it or a water line. Does that reset annually, or how does that specifically work?
So when it's growing in the index, so let's say they're rolling over 100,000. 100,000 is their principal. They're never going to go below that. That's their principal. It's protected. So as it grows in the index, say next year it's 10,000, 110,000. But then everything went down. Now their principal is 110,000. So now it's not going to go down from 110,000. And then it keeps building for them.
So the new water line, or the minimum will be, is that an annual set on a renewal date?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you begin moving money for people that trust you, the parents of the students and that sort of thing, into those funds. You saw that as a need, right?
Yeah.
They have money there. It's not working. This is a way to put it to work, have it grow. What other products do you offer?
Life insurance in general. Because I do have some, young ones just starting out, 18, 19. I'm like, you're not there yet. I wouldn't recommend maybe, because you can't put $2 in an IUL and expect it to work. It ain't going to work. Maybe just to protect yourself first, look at your term insurance, right? Because you can get still a good amount of protection for a lesser cost. So I now go there, final burial, because I do have older clients too. The older you are, life insurance is going to cost more. And that's why I always push when you're healthy and young, look at your options, guys, if you can do it. But my older clients, sometimes they can't afford these cash value permanent life insurance. It's too much for them. So then I'm looking at, okay, final burial. It's still a permanent insurance, but it's going to be more focused on your family's going to get funds 24 to 48 hours, so they're not
$15,000, just enough to cover those expenses. Who is what? Let me ask this differently. What is the youngest that you would recommend somebody getting an insurance product? And what product would that be, and how much? What's the minimum that they should be putting into it?
My advice for someone selling their home: number 1, do it yourself and save. Number 2, use HomePie.
HomePie makes it easy to buy or sell without an agent. I can list a home in minutes and start receiving offers right away from buyers.
When we discovered that we didn't have to lose $40,000 in agent commission just to upsize to a larger home, it was an obvious choice.
List your home for free at homepie.com. Keep your piece of the pie.
The youngest really is 2 weeks old.
Okay.
As long as they have their Social Security. This is more so me talking to parents.
Yeah.
That's as long as they have their Social Security, a baby can get an IUL. That's what I would recommend because, again, they're not even 1 year old. So their numbers are going to be way low. The parents are going to be the owners, the child's the insured. But I've been helping some families, parents, for just starting like that. Like $50. Just start, because I tell the parents, I'm like, what you have to think of, you're locking in these numbers for your child for the rest of their life. So their flexibility might be from $38 to like $250 at a starting $100,000.
So explain that in more detail. When you say at $100,000, that's the death benefit.
Death benefit.
So
yes.
The death benefit is one side, but what you're saying is lean heavily toward the investment side of it. So that is probably the minimum death benefit, but the cost of that is very little because they're a baby, and the rest of your premium goes into an investment account that'll grow over their life. Now, I'm going to pause that for a minute, because what about the people that you present that to and they go, that's pretty morbid. I don't know about getting insurance. I'm like, what do you say to them?
I let them know, I'm like, we're not all superheroes. We're not in Marvel. Because, again, I'm married to Spidey, so that's always like my first thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, unfortunately, guys, we're not, like, it's going to come. I don't want you to think that we're using the life insurance to create this growth for your child to utilize. You can start it for them, but they can then take over because they can use this for retirement in the future. And I show them how it, like, projects, because what the child has on their side is time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, what your child, like, I haven't really had a parent do that to me before, actually, though. You're like the first one to ask me.
No, nobody said,
no.
well, that's great. Why do I want to buy life insurance that gives me a death benefit if my child dies? That feels morbid. I would think you would have that, but,
It's how you, so I'm very big on my
present it.
environment with my clients. I'm very big on education. Today, this is what we're going to learn about. So I'm really teach them, like, see this is the number of this. Then I'm quizzing them. Why did I structure it this way? Do you remember? Why is it called IUL? Well, how does it grow? Like, I'm constantly quizzing them. So now they're not like life insurance. It's like, oh, this is an account that I can utilize for so many benefits.
All right. So why would somebody want to use an investment vehicle for investing? I'm sorry. Let me ask that again. Why would somebody want to use an insurance vehicle for investing versus just investing directly into mutual funds or ETFs or some index funds?
So I always tell them the main difference you're going to have with utilizing a life insurance is it grows tax-free, because it's you're utilizing the life insurance title. And that's what I tell them too when I'm teaching them. Sam, if we remove this title, you don't get that tax-free growth.
Yeah.
You got to, because you're utilizing against the policy when you're borrowing and loaning to yourself with this. So I was like, that's going to be your main difference. And with an IUL, the main difference in the growth, right? You're not going to participate when stocks go down. You're going to be protected. But I always, one thing I tell my clients too, I'm like, this is just an option. I'm going to give you all the knowledge, education that what I specialize in, but I am not downplaying anybody who does specialize in mutual funds. Or if you want to learn that, please go find someone to teach you that so you can compare and contrast yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I explain to them. I'm like, this would be more of your safe growth here with the life insurance attached. If you get approved, you can get the living benefits, right? Long-term care riders. God forbid something happens to you and you're still alive, you get a percentage of the death benefit to use to take care of those
while
medical
you're living.
Expenses. Yes.
That's a big benefit. And young people don't really think about that. Long-term care is that insurance that basically will cover you if you need to be put into a home, which, by the way, extremely expensive, very,
Yes.
very expensive.
Yes.
And if you don't have that, the types of options you have, you want to talk about morbid? I mean, it's you really wouldn't want to even put a homeless person in
No.
it. Some of them are really, really bad, and the people there are not good. So long-term care protects you so you don't become that burden on your family where maybe you're incapacitated, maybe you've got dementia, maybe there's other things going on, and now you become a burden on your family because it can't afford to put you in somewhere good where the long-term care insurance covers that. So just want to make sure people understand that. You said something about growing tax-free, but there's the other benefit to it that you mentioned, but I really want to emphasize it. So a Roth IRA grows tax-free, but when you go to grab the money out of it, you're going to pay, I'm sorry, the Roth you pay, you put after-tax dollars in.
After tax.
And so then it grows tax-free and you pull it out. A regular IRA, you put in tax-free, but then you're going to pay tax on it when you pull it out. With the insurance product, you're not really pulling it out. You're borrowing from yourself, and you avoid all the taxes on it, right?
Yeah. So that's now one thing I always say. I'm like, guys, I'm not talking about like income. Like you will have to, if you're taking out 50 to 100,000. I'm not saying you're not gonna have to report the income, right? That's a whole. What I'm saying is if it's compared to our like 401ks, where it's you got the, state tax, you got the federal tax. You're not going to have to really deal with that because you're borrowing against the policy with the option to pay yourself back if you want to, or you don't have to. Your death benefit is there too, growing, depending on how it's structured. But if it's an increasing IUL where the death benefit grows as cash value does, then let's say you borrowed $500,000, you never paid back. But the time that you passed, your death benefit was 1.5. Your family's not going to get 1.5. They're going to get 1 million.
Yeah.
So the flexibility of that. You pay yourself back if you want to, or you don't have to. It's up to you.
Yeah. So I love that you're educating people on it because it is a sophisticated vehicle or product, and there are a lot of different aspects to it, and there's a lot of different types of policies. So it's really great that you're teaching people that. Tell me about how you're now using social media to teach people.
Yeah, social media. So when I started in this in like 2020, I was using social media a little bit, but even if you go all the way to 2020, totally different vibe. I was really trying as a creative, right? We're like, okay, we got to brainstorm with ourselves. How are we going to do it? And my first videos of teaching life insurance was all dance because what am I connected to? Dance. So it was like more so dancing and the pointing. It was fun. It was cute. But then probably a year into it, I was just having fun with that. I had a lot, again, I had a community already, so referrals after referrals. I was pretty good, with staying consistent with clients. And then I kind of knew going into that new year, I was like, I'm going to have to get on this TikTokity. I know I'm going to have to get on this because we branded ourselves, me and him, on TikTok, and we're pretty successful, but we're fun. Like, everyone loves dance and like all that. So that was fun. And then I was like, this is going to be hard because when you rebuild from the ground up, it's like zero, right? It's like, so discouraging. But I pushed through it. I was like, all right, let me get on this tickety talk first. And then started doing, I was more so in the groove of still dancing, finding creative ways. I think I did like Destiny's Child one time, like say my name. I filmed it at a studio. If you are old enough to know the music video where there was all the colors, and he would like film me and I'd be like posing, but it'd be like life insurance facts. So much fun. But then one time I was like, you know what? I can only dance so much. Let me just sit in front of my camera and just talk about it. I was like, I can do that. So I would, boom, started talking about like, hey, did you know like these are 3 tips about an IUL? Mm-hmm. And just, and then I was just doing it. Because I knew, I was like, girl, you're going to have to be consistent. Like in order for this to work, you're going to have to you're going to have to film me when you don't want to film. So I did it. And then one of my videos I filmed about the FIA, creating your own pension plan. Mm-hmm. That video just overnight. Emails, comments. I need to talk to you. Woo, woo,
Wow.
woo, 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 woo. And I was like, oh. It's like, because it does happen overnight. Like for when you make a really good video that connects with people and in like with my niche, when it's like said simply and they understand, boom. That then took me off. Now I'm in this whole nother realm where it's really cold clients. Like I will say it is cold. They see me, but now I still got to meet with them one-on-one, build a relationship, build trust, right? So that, because again, scam artists are all over what I do in my industry. So from there, probably took me 6 months of being consistent on the TikTok, and then that one viral video, posting more videos, but then I have, now when you get emails and when you have those contacts, now your client list is building. Yeah. Right? And same concept I did with my dance teachers when we were, like I had an insight. I'm like, okay, I see what's happening. We're in where we were with Zulu before we started getting big. I need help, partners. I need to train other people because there's going to be a point where they're going to have to wait 3 months for me, and that's ridiculous. Yeah. Right? If I can teach people how to teach how I teach, more are getting help.
And you're doing that now?
Yeah.
And you're looking for more people?
I will always say yes. I'll take the challenge. I will always, if there's any, I did create a life insurance for agents program. Okay. Because I did notice in this industry, a lot of people don't want to spend the time to teach someone because it is so much. But I think I have the patience because I work with kids. Yeah. So I can spend time, an hour with you saying the same thing over and over again. And even though I've heard it millions of times, I will support you, and I'm still going to give you notes, and I'm still going to encourage you because I teach 2-year-olds. So I know sometimes you got to hear that story a million times, and you got to reassure them that they're going to be fine on stage and hold their hand. So I kind of brought that care into this side because, again, like when I get those booms of like so many, my Calendly or they're DMing me, emailing me, and I'm like, I know you connect with me, but I want to make sure that you get the knowledge. And my agent, Jared, or my partner, Tim, they're fully equipped to just teach you. You don't have to say yes to anything. Just come to learn. Yeah. And I'll let them know. I'm like, I'm not going to be there, but I'm letting you know that this is my partner. They will take care of you in teaching.
Sure, of course. I love it. You've done a great job of growing your dance company. And now you're doing the exact same thing. You've replicated it, all the things you learned creating the blueprint for your dance company. You're now using those same skills that you acquired, and that just kind of happened. You didn't know it before, but now you've got that, and you're applying that to the financial world. So that's fantastic. Look, a lot of people could learn a lot from you. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they reach you?
You can reach me at, for sure, my email, my full name, Castillo-Guster @gmail.com. And then also on my socials. I'm mainly on the Instagram right now. I kind of came over to Instagram because I was a little nervous about the tickety talk from our recent days. But Instagram is Crystal Dream XOXO. Tickety talk is Miss Crystal Talks Money. But again, I'm a little on a hiatus over there right now. So.
All right. Well, you'll get back to it, though.
Yes, I will.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. And thank you, Spidey, for joining in the background. We're going to get some photos with you. But if you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, follow. We bring this to you all the time. Great value, bringing you the blueprint. If you want to do what Crystal did, you now have the blueprint to do it. Feel comfortable with it. Reach out to her. She's very warm. she'll talk to you. She'll help
I
you.
will.
So thanks again. We'll see you next time on The Blueprint.
Thank you, Pat.